you very much. Hello, I'm Alexander Armstrong, and this is Pointless, the quiz show where the lowest scorers are the biggest winners. To stay in the game, our contestants need to score as few points as possible. And how do they score as few points as possible? Well, they just need to come up with the most obscure answers they can. We've asked all our questions on Pointless to 100 people before the show. Could you plumb the depths of your knowledge to find those elusive answers that no one else can think of? So, for example, we gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many Eurovision Song Contest winners as they could, and we found out that 60 of them said ABBA, an obvious answer that would score you a horribly high 60 points. However, only 28 of them said Sandy Shaw, a less obvious winner that would score you a respectably low 28 points. Now, occasionally there are even some answers that none of our 100 people could name. So, for example, none of them said Bobby Socks. So that would have been a truly pointless Eurovision winner. And that would score you absolutely nothing. That's just what we want. And if we find any of those, then we will add £250 to today's jackpot. So before we go any further, let's meet today's players. Paul and Susan, welcome back. We give everyone 2 chances to reach the Pointless final, and today is your final chance. Can you remind us where you're from and how you two know each other?
Yeah, we come from Hull, and we are engaged to be married. We met as a trainee teacher when I came into Susan's lesson. When's the date? Have you set it? No. Not yet. Not yet.
Well, very best of luck this afternoon. Terry and Laura, it's also your second and final chance on the show. Welcome back. Now, everyone gets 2 chances to reach the Pointless final. This is your second chance. Remind us who you are.
We're brother and sister. We come from West London, and we work together as well.
Remind us how you did last time.
We got through to the head-to-head.
So you did. What did for you?
The
England.
The 1966 World Cup winning squad.
Dear, dear, yeah, that was tough. Anyway, very best of luck this afternoon. On to our third pair, Mina and Deborah. You are the third pair today. How do you two know each other?
Hi, we've known each other for 17 years now. We went to school, together, college, work, travelled together, and we're here together today.
Marvellous. Well, very best of luck to you. I hope you do very well indeed. Welcome back to our fourth pair today, Mick and Martin. This is your second and final chance on Pointless. Remind us who you are.
We're twin brothers from Hertfordshire. We used to like to go on holiday together, eat out, dine out. Not competitive with each other in any way, are we?
OK, and finally, we've got Heather and Davey. Welcome to the show. How do you two know each other?
Well, I actually met Heather in primary school.
Really?
Many moons ago.
That's fantastic. Are you married?
Yep, married, yes.
Where are you from?
From Belfast.
From Belfast?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, a warm welcome to you. Very best of luck on the show. Of course, there is one final person I must introduce. He is the man in the know, the man with all the pointless facts and figures. It's my pointless friend. It's Richard. Richard, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I couldn't be better.
Excellent. As you say, I've got all the questions on today's show right here. I've got all the answers as well. At the end of each question, I'll be going through all the pointless answers. Those are the things that none of our 100 people said. If you're playing along at home, you'll see exactly how you've done then. I'll also go through some of the more obvious answers that people have said. So best of luck to you all, and best of luck to everybody at home.
Thanks, Richard. Today's jackpot total is £2,000. We're really hoping that one of our pairs will be taking that home at the end of today's show. And remember, if you find some pointless answers along the way, each one of those will add £250 to that amount. Let's play Pointless. So, in the first round, each of you must give me one answer, and you cannot confer with your partner. You'll score 1 point for every one of the 100 people that gave that same answer. And remember, this is pointless, so you're trying to find the least well-known answers and score the fewest points. If anyone gives me an incorrect answer, they will, I'm afraid, score the maximum of 100 points, so do be careful. If you do give me an incorrect answer, this will happen. You really don't want to see that. At the end of the round, your combined score will be totalled up, and the highest scoring pair will be eliminated. Only 2 pairs, obviously, make it through to our head-to-head semi-final, so the pressure is really on. Our first category is television. Television. Can you decide in your pairs who's going to go first, who's going to go second? And whoever's going first, please step up to the podium. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many celebrities that have participated in Strictly Come Dancing as they could. Richard, fill us in.
Yeah, we're looking for any of the celebrities who've participated in the first 6 series of Strictly Come Dancing, so that excludes the current series. We use celebrity in its absolute broadest sense. We're not looking for any of the professional dancers, any of the judges. We're not looking for Brucey. Just the 74 celebrities who've been on Strictly Come Dancing.
Right, Paul and Susan, before the show you all drew lots, and today it turns out you will be starting us off. So then, Susan, we are looking for celebrities that have participated in Strictly Come Dancing. The more obscure, the better.
It's something I used to watch, not very often, but I used to watch it. Lost interest, I think. So many of them, aren't they? Melandra Burrows.
Melandra Burrows. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Melandra Burrows. Remember, you're looking to score as few points as possible. Bit of a delayed reaction there, Susan. Melandra Burrows, unfortunately, is a wrong answer. That means you score 100 points. Richard, Melandra Burrows.
Yeah, I'm sorry, she was never a contestant on Strictly. She's been on all sorts of other shows. She's been on I'm a Celebrity, for example, but never on Strictly, sorry.
Ooh, bad luck, Susan. OK, on to our next pair. Laura, what are you going to say? Just to remind you, we are looking for celebrities that have participated in Strictly Come Dancing.
I can honestly say I've never watched it at all. So, but I do know one who has, but it's obviously going to be quite high, but I've got to go for it. Alicia Dixon.
Alicia Dixon. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Alicia Dixon. Well, it's good. Not bad. That means 30 of our 100 people said Alicia Dixon. OK, on to our next pair. Deborah. Celebrities who've been on Strictly Come Dancing.
I only knew 2, and fortunately Laura took Alicia.
Well, that makes your job very easy.
Yeah, very easy. I think it's quite a high scorer. Rachel Stevens.
Rachel Stevens. OK, well, let's see how many of our 100 people said Rachel Stevens. Well, it's correct. It's not bad at all. Look at that. That means 15 of our 100 people said Rachel Stevens. That gives Deborah and Mina a score of 15. OK, on to our fourth pair. Mick, what are you going to give me? We are looking for celebrities who've been on Strictly Come Dancing.
It's not a show I've watched on a regular basis, though I do remember from one of the early series, there was a girl, I think she won it, Jill Halfpenny.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said Jill Halfpenny. It's correct. It's another good one. Oh, look at that. It's better than good. That means only 8 of our 100 people said Jill Halfpenny. That gives Mick and Martin a lovely low score of 8. OK, on to our fifth pair. Heather, we are looking for celebrities that have participated in Strictly Come Dancing.
Well, it's a show I do watch, and there's a guy that I remember from a while back. I think he's a newsreader. I think he's called Bill Turnbull.
Bill Turnbull.
Yeah.
Very good. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Bill Turnbull. It's a correct answer. Oh, it's another good one. Oh, it's very good. Look at that. That means only 1 of our 100 people said Bill Turnbull. OK, we are halfway through the round. Let's have a look at the scoreboard, see how we're doing. Looking very comfortable. At the top of the scoreboard there, Heather and Davey with only 1 point. Keep up that low scoring and you'll be certain to be in the next round. Paul and Susan, though, up there on 100 points. Looking very vulnerable with the maximum possible score. You've got to try and score absolutely nothing if you can on the next pass and hope everyone else scores as high as they can. OK, we're going to come back down the line. Can the second players please take their places at the podium? OK, Davey, we are looking for celebrities who have been on Strictly Come Dancing. You are currently the low scorers on 1. If you want to avoid becoming the high scorers and overtaking Paul and Susan, you have to score 98 or less with your answer.
I can only think of John Sargent.
John Sargent. OK, we are looking for a nice obscure answer for our celebrities that have participated in Strictly Come Dancing. You're saying John Sargent. That red line there is your safety line. If you are below that red line, you are definitely through to the next round. OK, how many of our 100 people said John Sargent? It's good enough. Not bad. That means 26 of our 100 people said John Sargent. That takes your total up to a very low 27. You are through to the next round. Martin, your turn. You are currently on 8. If you want to avoid taking over Paul and Susan as the high scorers, you want to be scoring 91 or less with this answer. We're looking for celebrities who have been on Strictly Come Dancing. What are you going to give me?
Well, I can go back to one of the early series. Used to be a breakfast TV presenter. I think it was Fiona Phillips.
Fiona Phillips. OK, let's see how many of our 100 people said Fiona Phillips. Good enough. Oh, it's very good. Look at that. That means only 5 of our 100 people said Fiona Phillips. That brings your score up to 13. You are through to the next round. OK, on to our next pair. Mina, you're currently on 15. You have to score 84 or less to see yourselves through to the next round comfortably. Otherwise, you will overtake Paul and Susan on their high score of 100. So you and Deborah have a lot riding on this, as do Paul and Susan. What are you going to give me? We are looking for celebrities who have been on Strictly. I'm abbreviating it to Strictly now, you see?
I'm just going to take a shot in the dark and say Ray Quinn and hope that he was on it.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said Ray Quinn. Oh, that's bad news for Mina and Deborah. Great news for Paul and Susan. I'm afraid that is a wrong answer, which means you score the maximum of 100 points. That takes your score up to 115. You are our new high scorers. Ray Quinn, Richard.
Yeah, Ray Quinn. Well, he was runner-up on X Factor, but he won ITV's Dancing on Ice, which is an entirely different show. I don't know how you get the two mixed up.
Oh dear, bad luck, Mina. OK, on to our penultimate pair. Terry, you are on 30 at the moment. To avoid becoming the high scorers and overtaking Mina and Deborah on 115, you want to score 84 or less with this answer.
I have to confess to maybe watching it maybe once. So
is that a confession for having watched it once or having only watched it once?
Yeah, only once.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for John Barnes.
John Barnes. Let's see how many of our 100 people said John Barnes. It's good enough. Oh, it's very good. Look at that. Oh! That means only 3 of our 100 people said John Barnes. That brings your total up to 33. You are sailing through to the next round. OK. Ooh, very exciting. We've kept our drama till last. Paul and Susan, you are on 100. I need hardly remind you, Mina and Deborah are just a little bit ahead of you on 115. You have to score 14 or less with this answer. You have to be below that red line, and you are through to the next round. Above it, and you are leaving the show. Paul, I want a celebrity from Strictly Come Dancing that no one could remember.
I think the one that's come into my mind was on Strictly, so I'm going to give it a try. Saran Jones.
Saran Jones. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Saran Jones, and let's hope it's a correct answer. If it is incorrect, of course, you will score the maximum of 100 points. Unfortunately, that is a wrong answer, which means you score the maximum of 100 points. Out you go in a blaze of glory. The full score of 200. On any other show, that would be such a good score, wouldn't it? Sadly, this is pointless where low scores are what we're after. Bad luck. Great news for Mina and Deborah. Phew-wee. So that means at the end of round 1, the losing pair with the highest score is Paul and Susan. Bad luck, guys, but you did very well. And 200. If you're going to go out, you might as well go out on the maximum score. Richard, what went wrong there?
Technically, what went wrong was they picked 2 people who hadn't appeared in Strictly. and that was the category, and there you go. That's how you get 200. There were actually 20 pointless answers here. There were 20 people who've been on Strictly that no one mentioned, almost all of whom were from Holby City or Casualty, but we'll take you through some of the others. Brian Capron, who went out very early in one series, he was Richard Hillman on Coronation Street. Kenny Logan, got nothing. His wife, Gabby Logan, was on the same series. She got 1. She'll be delighted. She'll be whooping it up at home. Carol Smiley was a pointless answer. Let's take a look. A couple more. Peter Schmeichel, the Great Dane, he was a pointless answer. And Dennis Taylor and Willie Thorne battle it out a 0-0 draw there between the 2 snooker players. The most obvious answers, now these may be a little bit familiar. The most obvious answers, the worst answers you could have given, because we've had all of them. Deborah gave us Rachel Stevens. That was the 3rd most obvious answer. Davey gave us John Sargent. That was the 2nd most popular answer. And Laura gave us the most popular answer of all, which was Alicia Dixon. So those were the worst answers you could have given, apart from, say, Melandra Burrows and Saran Jones.
There we are. Thanks, Richard. Paul and Susan, that was your 2nd and final chance on the show. I'm afraid you just didn't have that pointless television knowledge you needed to get through to the final. So I'm afraid we do have to say goodbye. But thanks so much for playing. Thank you. OK, guys, the round 2 category is transport. Transport. Can you decide in your pairs who's going to go first, who's going to go second? And whoever's going first, please step up to the podium. Now, remember, Pointless is all about scoring the fewest points. You need to rack your brain for those obscure, unheard-of answers you think the fewest of our 100 people said. OK, with that in mind, let's find out what the question is. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many lines on the London tube map as they could. Richard, fill us in.
Yeah, we're looking for any of the 13 named lines on a London tube map. That's the one you pick up at any London station. We're not looking for the London Connections map, which has all the sort of main lines that go up and down the country. One other thing I would say is we won't accept the East London line because it's currently inactive.
OK. Right, Terry and Laura. Lines on the London tube map. Terry.
We're going to go for the Hammersmith and City.
Hammersmith and City. Very good. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Hammersmith and City. It's correct. It's not bad. That means 30 of our 100 people said Hammersmith and City. That gives Terry and Laura a score of 30 to kick us off. Mina, a line on the London tube map.
I'm going to go with the District line.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said District line. Well, it's correct. That means 44 of our 100 people said the District line. That gives Mina and Deborah a score of 44. So on to our next pair, Mick and Martin. Mick, we are looking for lines on the London tube map.
I'm actually going to go for a line that's not actually a line on the map. It's a circle. So I'm going to go for the circle line.
Very good. Let's see how many of our 100 people said circle line. It's correct. That means 59 of our 100 people said the circle line. That makes Mick and Martin the current high scorers. OK, on to our final pair. Heather, what are you going to give me? I want a line on the London tube map. The more obscure, the better.
I think I'm going to go for the Northern Line.
Very good, the Northern Line. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Northern Line. That means 64 of our 100 people said the Northern Line. That gives you the high score of 64. Well, we are halfway through the round. Let's see where we are. Heather and Davey looking quite vulnerable there on 64. It's not a terribly high score, but it is the highest score. Terry and Laura on 30. Not bad, I suppose. If you can keep up your low scores, find another obscure line on the map, then you should be through to the next round. But there's really everything to play for. The scores are pretty close. OK, we're going to come back down the line with the second players. Please step up to the podium. OK, we are looking for lines on the London tube map. Davey, you are the high scorers at the moment on 64. You've got to try and find a really obscure tube line, if you possibly can.
My knowledge of the lines, it's not great, but one sprang out there, and it was the Jubilee line.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said the Jubilee line. That means 52 of our 100 people said the Jubilee line. That brings your total up to 116. Martin, You are currently on 59. To avoid overtaking Davy and Heather on 116, you have to score 56 or less. If you are below that red line, you are definitely through to the next round. If you are above that red line, you become our high scorers and risk being eliminated. What are you going to give me?
The only one I can think, apart from two other obvious ones, would be the Metropolitan.
The Metropolitan line. Let's see how many of our 100 people said the Metropolitan line. It's good enough. That means 31 of our 100 people said the Metropolitan line. That takes your total up to 90 points. You are through to the next round. OK. Deborah, lines on the London Tube map. You want to be scoring 71 or less to avoid becoming the high scorers and risk being eliminated.
I'm going to go for the Bakerloo line.
The Bakerloo line. Let's see how many of our 100 people said the Bakerloo line. Good enough. Very good. That means 46 of our 100 people said the Bakerloo line. That takes your total up to 90 points. You're exactly the same as Mick and Martin. You are through to the next round. OK, Laura, you are currently on 30. To avoid overtaking our high scorers, Davy and Heather, you have to score 85 or less with this answer.
I'm just going to go for a more obvious one, which I hope isn't worth 85, is the Victoria line.
The Victoria line. OK, here's your red line. Below that red line, and you're through to the next round. Above it, you are off the show. Let's see how many of our 100 people did say the Victoria line. It's good. Bad news for Heather and Davy. That means 47 of our 100 people said the Victoria line. That brings your total up to 77 points. You are through to the next round. So at the end of round 2, the losing pair with the highest score is Heather and Davy. Bad luck, you see. If we'd had Belfast bus routes, you see. Richard, what answers should they have gone for?
There was actually one pointless answer. It's a little bit of a cheat, but it is on the map, which is the Overground, which is 4 different lines that go from essentially from Richmond in the south up to Watford in the north. The Docklands Light Railway would have got you 14 points. So they have driverless trains. You can sit up the front and pretend to be the driver if you like to do that, which I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And 29 points. The next most obscure was Waterloo and City, which goes between Waterloo and Bank Station. Let's take a look at the most obvious answers, the worst answers you could have given. Heather, you gave us Northern. That scored you 64 points. Equal with that was the Central line, which also would have got you 64 points. And the most obvious of all was the Piccadilly line, would have got you 73 points.
Thanks, Richard. OK, Heather and Davy, you've wasted one of your chances to get to the pointless final. We have to say goodbye to you for today. We'll see you next time for your last chance. Thanks so much for playing. Now, obviously, only 2 pairs make it through to our head-to-head, so this is your final chance. All of you need to find those low-scoring answers to stay in the game. Bearing that in mind, the round 3 category is children's books. Children's books. OK, who's going first? Who's going second? And will whoever's going first please step up to the podium? We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many Tales of Beatrix Potter as they could. Richard, Tales of Beatrix Potter.
Yep, we're looking for any of the 23 stories published by Beatrice Potter during her lifetime. Simple as that.
Now, remember, you need to score the fewest points. You need to give the answer that the fewest of our 100 people said. OK, Terry, we are looking for Tales of Beatrix Potter. The more obscure, the better. What are you going to give me?
I have not got a Scooby at all about this. I don't know, The Hidden Cave. That sounds like a nice tale.
The Hidden Cave by Beatrix Potter. OK, if this is an incorrect answer, you will, of course, score 100 points. Let's see how many of our 100 people said The Hidden Cave.
What a prize.
Unfortunately, that is a wrong answer. That means you score the maximum of 100 points. Bad luck. OK, on to our next pair. Mina, we're looking for a tale from Beatrix Potter.
I'm just thinking back to my childhood, and I don't know if this is a Beatrix Potter book or not, but I'm just going to go with it and say Peter Rabbit and Friends.
Peter Rabbit and Friends. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Peter Rabbit and Friends. If it is an incorrect answer, you also will score 100 points. It's good. That means 56 of our 100 people said Peter Rabbit and Friends. Richard, Peter Rabbit and Friends.
Yeah, it's actually called The Tale of Peter Rabbit, story of a curious young rabbit who finds a hidden cave.
See, I'd read that.
Yeah.
Very good. On to our next pair. Mick.
Like Terry, I can't honestly say I'm a big fan of Beatrix Potter. And the only one I can think of, and it's probably wrong as well, is Toad of Toad Hall. I think that's wrong.
Toad of Toad Hall.
Maybe.
It's about an animal. If it is wrong, you will, of course, score 100 points. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Toad of Toad Hall. Yep, unfortunately, that is a wrong answer. I'm afraid that means you score the maximum of 100 points. OK, well, we are halfway through the round. Let's see where we are on the scoreboard. It's an interesting scoreboard. Mina and Deborah, with a pretty high score of 56, are our low scorers. Keep up that low scoring, or rather, keep up that correct scoring, and you will be through to the next round. But it's going to be neck and neck at the bottom there. We've got a real contest on our hands. Mick and Martin and Terry and Laura are on the maximum possible score of 100. So you've just got to hope that whoever's playing next knows a couple of really obscure Beatrix Potter books. OK, we're going to come back down the line. Will our second players please take their places at the podium? OK, Martin, we are looking for tales from Beatrix Potter. And the more obscure, the better.
A couple of books, well, hopefully they're books. I mentioned one of them. I'm going to go for the adventures of, or tales of Benjamin Bunny.
Benjamin Bunny. OK, let's see how many of our 100 people said the tale of Benjamin Bunny. It's good. It's very good. Look at that. Well done, Martin. That means only 8 of our 100 people said Benjamin Bunny. That takes your total up to 108. Well played. OK, Deborah. Deborah, you are on 56 at the moment. To avoid becoming the high scorers and overtaking Martin and Mick on 108, you have to score 51 or less with this answer. There is your red line. If you are below that red line, you are definitely through to the next round. Above that red line, you become the high scorers and risk elimination.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
I do not have a clue. I'm going to give a complete guess. I'm going to say Jemima Puddle Duck.
Let's see. How many of our 100 people said Jemima Puddle Duck? It's good. Very good. You're through. Not bad at all. That means 21 of our 100 people said Jemima Puddle Duck. That gives you a total of 77. You are through to the next round. Finally, Laura, we have a tussle on our hands. You are currently on 100 points. Mick and Martin are only 8 points ahead of you. They are the high scorers, but you have to score 7 or less to avoid being eliminated from the show. Everything is riding on this. Below that red line, and you are through to the next round. Above that red line, and you are off the show for good.
Not a hope. I can think of one, but it's going to be really popular because it's the only one I can think of. So
it's not a hidden cave, is it?
It's not. No.
Okay.
It's Mrs. Tiggywinkle.
Mrs. Tiggywinkle. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Mrs. Tiggywinkle. Well, you knew it was correct. Always looking good. Oh! Bad luck. That means 12 of our 100 people said Mrs. Tiggywinkle. That brings your total up to 112, and I'm afraid that means you are off the show. Beatrix Potter, you didn't read that when you were little.
I didn't. He quite obviously didn't know.
Well, that was great news for Mick and Martin. They were nearly hanging out to dry there, but Hidden Cave and Mrs. Tiggywinkle, I'm afraid, bad news for you, but it saved their skin. Richard, what answers should they have gone for if they'd wanted to stay in?
Well, there were 8 pointless answers. Let's go through them. If you've got any of these at home, very, very well done. There was Little Pig Robinson. There's The Pie and the Patty Pan, which I thought was a reggae album. There's Ginger and Pickles, which is the story of a dog and a cat who set up a shop. That was in the days, I think, when they lent money to anyone. Let's take a look at a couple more. Appley Dappely's nursery rhymes, followed up by the equally obscure Cecily Parsley's nursery rhymes, and Johnny Town Mouse, about a town mouse by the name of Johnny. If you've got any of those, well done. Let's take a look at the most obvious answers. We've had all of the most obvious answers already, actually. Laura, you gave us Mrs. Tiggy Winkle. Jemima Puddle Duck, Deborah, that's the second most obvious answer. And the most obvious answer of all, Deborah and Mina have given us both most obvious answers, but they've both got a correct answer, which is why they're through. Peter Rabbit, the most obvious answer of all.
Very good. OK, thanks, Richard. So, Terry and Laura, that was your second and final chance on the show. You just don't have that pointless Beatrix Potter knowledge you needed, I'm afraid, to get through to the final, so we have to say goodbye. But thanks so much for playing. Thank you. But for the remaining two pairs, things are about to get even more exciting now as we enter the head-to-head. So well done, Mick and Martin, Mina and Deborah. You've made it through to the head-to-head. Now, obviously, only one pair can make it through to today's final and play for the jackpot, which currently stands at £2,000. OK, here's how the head-to-head works. You are now allowed to confer. Each team will take turns to give me an answer, and you'll each have an equal number of turns. The first team that accumulates more than 100 points, or the team that goes over 100 by the most, will lose. So, as always, to stay in the game, you want to find those really forgotten facts that nobody else could remember. Mick and Martin, you performed best over the first 3 rounds, so not only do you get to decide whether or not you go first, you also get to choose the topic, and your choice is between the Ashes or the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, so that's the obvious thing to go for.
Yeah. You agree?
Oh, absolutely, son.
Good. Okay.
What's it going to be?
I think we'll go for the Ashes.
Very good. Would you like to go first or second?
We'll go first, please.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Let's play Pointless. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many Test cricket grounds in Britain and Australia as they could. Richard.
Yeah, we're looking for any of the 18 Test cricket grounds in Britain or Australia. We're looking for the names of the grounds rather than just the cities they're in.
And remember, you don't want to go over 100, so you want to score the lowest number of points each time. What are those Test cricket grounds that nobody else could remember? All right, Mick and Martin, you're going to go first.
I'll go for Australian one first. I'll go for the Gabba.
OK, that's good.
First, yeah?
Yep.
Over that?
Yep.
We'll go for the Gabba.
The Gabba. Very good. Let's see how many of our 100 people said the Gabba. It's correct. It's good. It's very good. Hey, hey! Congratulations. That means none of our 100 people said the Gabba. That makes it a pointless answer, and that adds £250 to our jackpot, taking it up to £2,250. Richard, the Gabba.
Yeah, the Gabba, which is this, what cricket fans know the Brisbane cricket ground as. It's in the Walloon Gabba, which is part of Brisbane. Brilliant answer, guys. Well done.
Very good. Mina and Deborah. We are looking for Test cricket grounds.
OK, we're going for a really, really popular one, but the other ones we're not too sure of. So we're just going to have to go for Lords.
A middle-of-the-bat answer, I would say. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Lords. Yep, that means 86 of our 100 people said Lords. That gives you a score of 86. So you've each given me one answer. Mick and Martin are on nothing. Mina and Deborah, you are on 86. OK, Mick and Martin, what are you going to give me as your second answer?
Trent Bridge.
Trent Bridge. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Trent Bridge. A good safety shot. That means 54 of our 100 people said Trent Bridge. That takes your total up to 54 after 2 answers. Now, Mina and Deborah, you have to be very careful. Your next answer could take you over 100. Okay. To avoid going over 100 and being eliminated at the end of this round, You have to score 14 or less with this answer. There is your red line. Below that red line, and you avoid going over 100. Above that red line, and you are off the show. Okay?
Okay, we're not too sure. I've been there a couple of times, so I'm just going to cross my fingers. The SCG, the Sydney Cricket Ground.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said the Sydney Cricket Ground, SCG. It's good. Well, you've had 2 turns each, and Mina and Deborah, I'm afraid you have gone over 100 points, so that means you are off the show. Not bad, though.
Oh, thank
Not
you.
bad. You've been there a couple of times to watch cricket.
I used to be a tour guide in Australia, so used to take lots of groups there.
Oh, well, bad luck. Well, you've done very well. Richard, what should they have gone for?
There were 5 pointless answers, 5 pointless Test cricket grounds. There's the Bellerive Oval, which is in Hobart, Cazaly's, which is in Cairns, the Exhibition Ground, which is in Brisbane, hosted a Test in 1928, where Bradman made his debut. So not surprisingly, it was pointless. The Marara Cricket Ground, and we've already had the Gabba, the Brisbane Cricket Ground. The 3 worst answers, the most obvious answers. Mick and Martin gave us Trent Bridge when they were playing safe, quite right. The Oval, Kennington Oval, second, and Mina and Deborah should have gone with SCG first. It would have been a great first answer, but they went with Lords, and that was the most obvious answer of all.
OK, thanks, Rich. OK, Mina and Deborah, you've wasted one of your chances to get through to the pointless final. We have to say goodbye for today. We'll see you next time for your last chance, but meanwhile, thank you so much for playing. Thank you. So, congratulations, Mick and Martin. You've fought off all the competition and you've won our coveted pointless trophy. But now you've got a chance to win our pointless jackpot. At the end of today's show, the jackpot stands at £2,250. OK, the rules are very simple. To win the money, all you have to do is find a pointless answer that none of our 100 people could think of. We've had 1 pointless answer today, and that was given by you. You just have to find 1 more. First, though, you've got to choose a category from these 3 options, and you can go for modern art, Hollywood stars, or British government.
What do you think?
Good.
Modern art?
Modern art? No. Straight away. British government?
Maybe. That's not a bad one. We are British.
Yeah, we'll go with British government.
British government.
British government.
So, we gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many Chancellors of the Exchequer since 1900 as they could. Richard, fill us in.
Yeah, we're looking for any of the 35 holders of the post of Chancellor of the Exchequer since 1900. It won't surprise you to know there have been a lot of pointless Chancellors. These are the answers that none of our 100 people could remember.
OK, very good. Thank you, Richard. Now, you have 1 minute to come up with 3 answers. All you need to win that £2,250 is for just one of those answers to be pointless. OK, your 60 seconds start now.
Right, who do you know?
Norman Lamont.
Yeah.
Nigel Lawson.
Yeah.
John Major.
Yeah. Dennis Healy.
Dennis Healy. Yeah, it was not
Alistair Darling.
Yeah, the other.
Gordon Brown.
Scottish one.
Yeah.
Lord George, was he?
I don't know. He was a Prime Minister. I don't know if he was a Chancellor.
Yeah, that's as far as I'll go.
Okay.
On government, I really can't think of any. Who was?
Dennis Healy, though.
He was. Dennis, no, he was Chancellor when Callaghan was Prime Minister.
Right.
So who was?
30 seconds.
So who was before him? When?
I think Norman Lamont's a good one. So what do we need to do? I think we need Norman Lamont.
I think so.
Dennis Healy.
I'll go for Dennis Healy because people might have forgotten about him.
And we'll do the stab in the dark.
Lord
George.
Lord George. Yeah.
You happy with that?
Yeah, I think so.
We're happy.
OK, your time is up. What are your 3 answers?
Our 3 answers are Lloyd George.
Lloyd George.
Dennis Healy.
Dennis Healy.
Norman Lamont.
And Norman Lamont. Let's put them up on the board. Lloyd George, Dennis Healy, Norman Lamont. OK, this is for the jackpot of £2,250. One of these has to be a pointless answer. Let's put your first answer to our 100 people. Let's see how many of our 100 people said David Lloyd George. It's good. It's a correct answer. It now just has to be a pointless answer. This for £2,250. Down it goes.
I thought it was really fun. Good punt, wasn't it? Yeah, the other two are going to be more.
Well, congratulations for choosing someone that only one person knew, but I'm afraid that was one person too many. That is not a pointless answer. You now have only 2 more chances to win today's jackpot of £2,250. We are looking for a pointless answer under the category of Chancellors of the Exchequer since 1900. Let's go with your next answer, Denis Healey. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Denis Healey. This is your second chance. You have to hope it's a pointless answer. For £2,250. Bad luck. I'm afraid 9 of our 100 people said Denis Healey, so that is also not a pointless answer. That means you only have one final chance at today's jackpot. We asked you for Chancellors of the Exchequer since 1900. We needed a really obscure one that none of our 100 people could name. It has to be pointless. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Norman Lamont. Let's find out. It's your last shot at £2,250. Down it goes. Unfortunately, you didn't manage to find that all-important pointless answer, so you don't win today's jackpot of £2,250, which rolls over to the next show. However, you do get to take home our pointless trophy. Bad luck, guys. Bad luck. Do you think maybe you should have had another couple of punts, at least one other punt?
I couldn't think of any. David Lloyd George was as close as I could get to it. I knew he was in British government. I know he was famous for whatever. To be honest with you, I can't go back any further than Denis Healey. Richard, what were the pointless answers they should have got?
Well, there were 22 pointless answers. Well done if you got any of these at home. Neville Chamberlain and Stanley Baldwin, both future Prime Ministers. Reginald Maudlin, Sir Stafford Cripps, you could have gone for. Asquith, Gateskill, Rab Butler, all sorts of names in there. But so if you've got any of those at home, well done.
Oh, well, you've done very well anyway. You've got all the way through to the final, so well done. Thanks very much indeed. So nobody has won today's jackpot, and it rolls over again, which means our next show we will be playing for £3,250. Join us then to see if someone can win it on Pointless. Meanwhile, it's goodbye from Richard.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from me. Goodbye.